wants to be a millionaire? Just a bunch of questions. And I thought in this short whisper that I will work through the questions in the book for £100. So let's see. Question 1. In the Walt Disney film of the same name, what type of creature is Bambi? Deer, elephant, mouse, or cat? Well, she was a deer. Question 2. Which artist won the Turner Prize in 1986? That's a weird question for only £100. Topsy and Tim? No. Gilbert and George? Rene and Renato? Little and Large? L.B. Gilbert and George? Question 3. What does the letter E stand for in the abbreviation email? Easy, electronic, European, or elephant? That would be electronic. Question 4. What name is given to people who fish with rod and line as a hobby? Anglers, danglers, dinglers, or bunglers? That'll be anglers. Question 5. The acorn is the fruit of which tree? Elm, oak, beech, or shoe? Never heard of a shoe. Oh yeah, shoe tree, right? Yeah, it's oak. Question 6. Which of these words is slang for money? Dosh, mush, kudos, or hash? That would be dosh. Question 7. Which superhero has been portrayed on screen by Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, and George Clooney? Batman, Spider-Man, Captain America, or Wonder Woman? I think George Clooney would look great as Wonder Woman, but the answer is Batman. Question 8. With which Motown group was Diana Ross a singer in the 1960s? The Chiffons, the Supremes, the Ronettes, the Monkees? Well, the answer there was the Supremes. Question 9. What is the longest river in Italy? The Po, the Lala, the Dipsy, or the Tinky Winky? That would be the Po. What kind of animal is Nipper in the famous HMV logo? A budgerigar, a piranha, a giraffe, or a dog? He's a dog. Question 11. What was the name of the banqueting hall gutted by fire at Windsor Castle in 1992? St. Jason's Hall, St. Wayne's Hall, St. George's Hall, or St. Sharon's Hall? Well, if I didn't have a choice, I wouldn't have a clue, but with 3 jolly names and George, I'll go for St. George's Hall. 16. What is the official unit of currency in Japan? Ben, hen, yen, or sen? That would be yen. What name is given to the young of a kangaroo? Joey, Jody, Polly, Bruce. Bruce the kangaroo. Anyway, that'd be Joey. Question 18. A Mancunian is a native of which city? Question 41. Where might you find a tower called a keep, in a castle, at an airport, on the beach, or on a church? It would be in a castle. Question 42. Which Australian throwing stick is supposed to return to the thrower? A wallaby, a boomerang, a didgeridoo, or a jumbuck? I've never heard of a jumbuck. I'll have to look that up later. It would be a boomerang. Question 43. What is the shortest month of the year? January, February, March, or April? It's May. It only has 3 letters. Anyway, it's February. Question 44. Which country is home to flamenco dancing? Norway, Poland, Spain, or Russia? It would be Spain. Question 45. What is a mathematical term for a part of a whole, such as a half or a quarter? Fraction, fraction, faction, fracture. It's a fraction. Question 46. Which title goes before the name of a man who has been knighted? Sir, Madam, Count, or Prince? That would be Sir. Question 47. Who or what would somebody write about in an autobiography? Themselves, a car, wildlife, or the future? That would be themselves. Question 48. Which form of transport moves along on a cushion of air? A monorail, a ferry, a tank, or a hovercraft? It would be a hovercraft. Which of the following is traditionally associated with the maypole? Marriage, dancing, barber shop, or pole vaulting? That would be dancing. You dance around the maypole. Question 50. Of which plant is a 4-leaved specimen considered lucky? Clover, a cabbage, willow, or a dandelion? That would be a 4-leaf clover. Question 51. In the night sky, what can be half, full, or new? The sun, the moon, Pluto, or Neptune? That would be the moon. Question 52. Which part of a book is also a type of finger? Epilogue, index, appendix, or prologue? It would be index. Question 53. What name is given to the stand on which an artist rests his canvas? Palette, easel, podium, or plinth? It's an easel. Question 54. Which black and white bear-like animal lives mainly on a diet of bamboo? Zebra, sheepdog, skunk, or panda? It would be a panda. To which part of the body does the word nasal refer? Nose, heart, stomach, or skin? It would be nose. Question 56. What name is given to the liquid inside a coconut? Coconut tea, coconut beer, cocoa, or coconut milk? That would be coconut milk. Which of these people would be most likely to use a rolling pin? A builder, a fisherman, a gardener, or a baker? That would be a baker. Who sat in a corner according to the nursery rhyme? Little Boy Blue, Little Jack Horner, Little Miss Muffet, or Little Johnny Green? That would be Little Jack Horner. Question 59. Which famous nurse was nicknamed the Lady of the Lamp? Florence Nightingale, Gladys Emmanuel, Florence Night Owl, or Florence Nighthawk? That would be Florence Nightingale. Question 60. From which creatures do we obtain Question 64. Which political party did Margaret Thatcher lead? Liberals, Conservatives, Socialist Workers, Monster Raving Lilies. We'll go for the Conservatives. Question 65. Which of these mountains is the highest? Everest, Ben Nevis, Mont Blanc, or Snowdon? That would be Everest. Question 66. Which group released an album called Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band? The Spice Girls, Oasis, Rolling Stones, or the Beatles? That would be the Beatles. Question 67. What is the Friday before Easter Sunday called? Holy Friday, Monday Friday, First Friday, or Good Friday? That would be Good Friday. Question 68. What is the name of Queen Elizabeth II's husband? Prince Michael, Prince Edinburgh, Prince Charming, or Prince Philip? That would be Prince Philip. Question 69. In which country did spaghetti originate? France, Wales, Italy, or Australia? That would be Italy. Question 70. What is a set or series of 100 called? A decade, a century, a millennium, or a jubilee? That would be a century. Question 71. What was the title of Lulu's first top 10 single? Shout, Squeak, Scream, Shriek? That would be Shout. Question 72. The Guinness Company is famous for making which product? Cars, televisions, beer, or cakes? Well, that's obviously beer. Question 73. In which field did Agatha Christie become famous? Crime fiction, dance, acting, or wrestling? Agatha Christie wrestling. Anyway, crime fiction. Question 74. An admiral is a high-ranking officer in which force? The Navy, the Army, the Police, or the Air Force? That would be the Navy. Question 75. Which of these best describes a cultivated mushroom? An animal, an underwater plant, an edible fungus, or a tree? That would be an edible fungus. Question 76. In London, what are King's Cross, St. Pancras, and Waterloo? Airports, railway stations, ferry ports, or bridges? That would be railway stations. Question 77. What is a twelfth of a foot called? A toe, an inch, a metre, or a pound? That would be an inch. Question 78. Where on the body should a helmet be worn? On the feet, around the waist, between the knees, or on the head? That would be on the head. Question 79. What would you usually do with an artichoke? Eat it, wear it, throw it, or play it? You would eat it. Question 80. How many seasons are there in a year? 4, 6, 12, 24. There are 4. Although over here you can have 4 in one day. Question 81. Which Shakespearean character was the famous lover of Juliet? Romeo, Bravo, Raymond, or Reggie? That would be Romeo. Question 82. In London, which river is crossed by Tower Bridge? The Severn, Thames, Nile, or Seine? That would be the Thames. Question 83. Which part of a lettuce is usually eaten in salads? The seeds, roots, berries, or leaves? saddle or a throne? That would be the saddle. Question 88. Which fictional little girl explored Wonderland? Alice, Beryl the Pearl, Violet Elizabeth Bott, Matilda. That would be Alice. Question 89. What do we call the act of thumbing a lift? Hitchhiking, camping, joyriding, or orienteering? That would be hitchhiking. Question 90. The United Kingdom consists of England, Wales, Northern Ireland, and which other country? Turkey, Iceland, India, or Scotland? That would be Scotland. Question 91. By what name are Cinema's Academy Awards also known? Oscars, Globes, Emmys, or Tonys? That would be the Oscars. Question 92. Which hard seaside sweet is sold in sticks? Stone, cliff, rock, or gravel? That would be a stick of rock. Question 93. Which of the following is not the nickname of a Spice Girl? Baby Spice, Scary Spice, Posh Spice, Saucy Spice? That would be Saucy Spice. Question 94. The ostrich is the largest example of which group of creatures? Birds, frogs, reptiles, insects? That would be birds. Question 95. According to Benny Hill's 1971 chart topper, what was Ernie's job? A dustman, a postman, a milkman, or a solicitor? That would be the milkman. He's the fastest milkman in the West, you know. Question 96. Which of these is not the colour of a snooker ball? Blue, yellow, red, or purple? That would be purple. Question 97. Which vehicles compete in the annual Tour de France? Go-karts, cars, bicycles, or tractors? That would be bicycles. Question 98. Princess Anne has appeared on which television quiz show? Mastermind, A Question of Sport, Ask the Family, or Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? That would be A Question of Sport. Question 99. What is America's theatrical equivalent of the Oscars? The Thames,